Hi. I do hope that you got to feel some silence and quiet. That very much showed up this week as the theme. And what protects this silence and quiet, because we can find the quiet in a crowd, we can find it by ourselves. Some people who are by themselves are not quiet, and those who are in a crowd can be quiet. In the quiet, and what protects it, is the theme of the week, which is, I don't know, which follows on from the last time. But this time it got a little bit more specific because these energies move, which is why I love to share them. So I hope you had a wonderful time, however you spent it. I was lucky enough to have both presence and silence. And the silence, when it is interrupted by labels and decisions that you feel the other being is creating their world with, it doesn't feel silent, it feels mind. So one of the beings had shared the Christmas experience of the children coming home, playing games, and there was an upset. And the upset was with one. And rather than doing what the habit was, which was to own it and to resolve it and to be present to it, her instinct went deeply to leaving it be. And in that, the quiet and that sense of self that is the stone within, which is calm, took place. So in discussing this and looking into it, because this was a big shift when we aren't reactive and we don't do what we usually do, they're really big shifts. And the important part of that, when that happens, is to claim it, to see it for what it is, so that that stone becomes very solid and something you can stand on. And in the standing of it, you don't know, but you know it's authentic, and you know it's you can stand on it regardless of what may happen around it. You can stand on it. So the other child sort of approached and said, well, what are you going to do about this? And it was like, well, nothing. And that was almost like, this is not the usual, but it was wonderful. And the stillness, to cultivate the stillness, whether it's in walking, in the sense of breathing beyond the body, the self, the horizon, and gathering that permeating stillness more and more within oneself, is an important process for this authenticity to be able to show up. So what showed up further was really how we label. You know, whether we call something good or bad is the experience. If we said, I don't know, very often good or bad comes from the mind. If it comes from our inner feelings, we know to move away from or towards. It's quite it's an authenticity that moves towards or moves away from, unless it is an addiction to cortisol, which is attracted to drama, and you keep moving to drama. But that's an addiction. That's not really coming from that still point that can either feel the towards or away from, that is our guide. It's our guide, our inner guide. So these labels are very important. And one shared a dream that she'd had, and the dream was quite vivid to her. She was holding a baby, and there was lots of busyness around her, and it's just like, what is this? And what is this baby? And in following through what that was, it was not her baby. Like, this is not my baby. It's not my business. And I starting to identify what is her baby and what is not her baby. And when it's not your baby, it can be something that you can share and sit along with others, but it's not your baby. Therefore, if it's not your baby, it's not your responsibility. That brings a lot of calmness. So following from that, there was a beautiful woman who contacted me. It was an online session, and she was in just basically wanting to get clear. And what happens when we want to get clear, we can feel so many things. Is it my baby? Is it not my baby? Am I responsible? What part of me is responsible? Well, every part we're responsible to, because we either move towards or away. We either say yes or we say no. We're responsible for the yeses, we're responsible for the nos. That's always true. So what had happened in that state of wanting to get clear, others were coming in, messaging and giving their labels from their values onto the circumstance, which didn't sit well. So clearing the labels and getting clear about what that forward movement of the yes and the no's to different things brought about a feeling of a joy in life and the authenticity of the situation and what to enter into, not knowing one way or another where it's going to lead. How do we know? How do we know what the next hour brings, the next day, the next month? We think we know. We don't know. And getting comfortable with self in authenticity, finding that stone within in which you can stand, that others will agree with, others will not agree with, but it's something that resonates or that instinctively feels a calling to. It's important to cultivate. And even when we find it, we don't know. I think if we knew, it'd be quite boring. I think to not know has so much trust in it. I trust this stone within. I trust I can meet it. I trust in the process. I can see who I am as I make each decision or each move, and hopefully not label each decision more as a feeling into rather than this is good, this is bad. It moves. It moves. And I think this year, the way it's starting to look with the theme that's happening is that sense of the slave we spoke about last time, which can come from the spirit as much as it can come from the mind, is losing its role. And in the being of the silence, there is something bubbling up that we've mentioned before also, is I've had enough. This is enough. I'm not doing that anymore. And up comes this authenticity that bubbles through, that feels core and it feels true to you at the time that this is spoken or it is felt or it is realized. So the bush essence, only one bush essence came up, was wedding bush. And in many ways, if you read this, if you listen to this in the context of the commitment to self and one's own authenticity, and I don't know is authentic. And if you don't know, it's not your baby. If you don't know, it's not your responsibility. Mum, where's my socks? Go, I don't know. They're not my socks. There's a lot of freedom in that. Wedding bush. So the negative conditions are difficulty with commitment. And that commitment is, am I going to be committed to their baby, or am I going to be committed to not my baby? Positive outcome. Commitment to relationships, commitment to goals, and dedicated to life purpose, which is the revealing of self and the claiming of self and the standing in self. And what a wonderful energy of love and trust that is. That energy spreads into the world. What a gift to the world that is for each to live that. This essence is excellent for commitment, whether in relationships, employment, the family, or personal goals. It can be of great benefit for a relationship when one or both individuals are uncertain if they wish to work through the issue their partner is bringing up in them. Wedding bush can also be used for people who flit from one relationship to another or from one goal to another. Same thing. Or for when the initial attraction in the relationship diminishes. I don't know. Where is this going? I don't know. I find I don't know such a wonderful, relaxing place to be. And then to be in the stillness and see what arises. So enjoy this time of the year. If you have had the opportunity to have time to yourself, that's wonderful. And I'm looking forward to an amazing, authentic being of selves moving forward. And let's see where it goes next week. Much love.